Matthieu, I want to come back to your experience with your teachers. You have had this wonderful life working with great masters like Kanju Rinpoche, Tibu Khenche Rinpoche, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Yoshike Rinpoche, and many others. But one of the things that you also did is you have worked on some historical masters, really outstanding masters, two of whom I've read the works you have done. Shabkar Songtu Rangdal, whose autobiography you have translated some 20 years ago or so. And then more recently, Zapatul Rinpoche, whose life and teachings you have recently published as the Enlightened Vagabond. So when you follow these past masters through their writings, what kind of sort of experience do you get? Or another way of asking is, how do you sort of feel being their voice, their voice for the contemporary audience? And how does that help your practice on Buddha nature?
Well, I'm not sure I'm a worthy representative of this God's grace being. As Shabkar himself said about himself at the beginning, it feels like telling his life story is like the donkey trying to run about those wonderful stallions that gallop ahead. So I think this was also inspired by my teachers. Kanju Rinpoche used to tell a lot of stories about Patrul Rinpoche, and he was encouraging us to learn the Kunsala Meshelung, the words of my perfect teacher. That was one of the first things that we learned. And then on few occasions, Khenche Rinpoche said that one of the most inspiring life story in Tibetan literature was that of Shabkar's autobiography. And then our dear and regretted Jean Smith, also, which really I have so much admiration and love. He said also, oh, you should read the life of Shabkar. This is just amazing. So, and then when I started reading, I mean, this really should be available to practitioners. So that was my motivation. And about Patrul Rinpoche, I realized that there was two short biography. Actually, one was an expansion of the first one. Tempo Kumpel was an slightly expanded version of Totuk Tempe Nimas, but only 20, 30 folios. While over so many years, 40 years, I heard so many stories. So I started writing them down. And then later, when I really felt that the tradition might disappear, the oral tradition, because I was hearing the same story after 20 years, and they will sort of get smaller and smaller and with less and less essence. But when I heard them from Khenche Rinpoche, from Yushe Rinpoche, and other great masters in Tibet, so they were almost as if Patrul Rinpoche was there now, alive, and things were happening. They were telling them like almost, it was just 5 minutes ago. So I thought if I don't write down this will disappear. And so I collected over 100 stories, oral tradition from 18 different masters. Some of them were in such difficult dialect from Zachuka, I had to listen again and again with some friends. So anyway, I'm very glad that I could be instrumental and visiting the places and finding out descendant of his family and his last object, which Patrul Rinpoche used to have. So bringing that to life so that it stays with us as a source of inspiration. And for sure, Patrul Rinpoche and Shabkar's life are extraordinary source of inspiration for practitioners. Their teaching, the life example is the closest thing we can have to meeting them. So with Khenche Rinpoche and Kanju Rinpoche and the Karmapa and Rinpoche, we have also photographs, which for me is another way of, wow, this is how they looked. Imagine you could see the face of Longchenpa or Jigme Limpa. That would be nice, no? Even though we can meet them to their writing even more, but somehow, their faces somehow express different facets of enlightenment. And they're all very different. Some are, skinny, some are very tall, like Khenche Rinpoche, some are very skinny, like Kalo Rinpoche. But there's there's something that is similar in all the incredible quality that emanates from them, and that's an incredible source of inspiration.
Yeah, on that note, I must say, I really want to also thank you for the anthology that you put together called On the Path to Enlightenment, Heart Advice from Great Tibetan Masters. It really is a great compilation of words of wisdom and instructions from so many different masters that you have collected over the years.
Well, that was also something thanks to Khyentse Rinpoche. When he gave the Dhamma in 1981 in Phuntsho in Bhutan, I was serving him and preparing the books, and all throughout, at that time it was in 18 volumes. So throughout the initiations, every day I would prepare the book and so forth. So at the end, he gave me the collection that he had used, the books themselves. And then he said, it's only when you don't know what is in those collections, which is the 8 chariots of accomplishment. So the 4 main schools, and the Kalak Chakra and the Shampakagyu and the Triya and so forth. He said, it's only when you don't know what's there that you can be sectarian. So, I thought, well, I'm not going to translate the whole thing. So many Lama Chöpas and Wongs, I cannot do that. But I made sort of the aspiration that if I could extract some of the heart advice, at least representative from each of the 8 chariots. Of course, in the end, because I'm sort of biased, it was mostly from my teachers and mostly from Nyingma school and Kagyu school. But nevertheless, I made a point to have teachings from all and hard teachings and then try to put them as a guided path. So it was the teaching who inspired me most, and it was also in sort of fulfillment of Khyentse Rinpoche's words.